want to begin with a confession. There are few things more uncomfortable, more quietly painful, than speaking publicly about what should have remained private. The severing of a bond between a parent and their child, be it your father, be it your mother. This is not a subject I approach lightly, not as commentary, not for spectacle, and certainly not to join the chorus of those who throw stones from the safety of detachment. No judgment here. Because when we talk about a father, we are talking about something sacred, the same when we do about a mother. Something that even when it fractures, leaves a wound, shape like love. And I know this not just from observation, but from experience. Before my father passed, he fell into the hands of someone running what I now understand to be a scam. Someone who called often, who drew him in gently, who pretended to care. They spoke about government investment, about a trust, and they gained his trust. They gained information about our family. And in the end, they took a bit over $10,000 from my father, money he had earned with hard work. We were devastated. I was angry, not just at the thief, but at my father for trusting a stranger, for hiding it, for being so vulnerable with someone he did not know in ways I couldn't even protect him from. And still, I understood. I understood his loneliness. I understood his reaching out, wanting someone to talk to. That experience taught me how easily someone can be groomed, even an intelligent man. How a person longing for connection, for relevance, for legacy can be twisted into something they themselves don't fully recognize. So no, I I I don't speak today from a place of judgment. I speak from a place of deep sorrow, from a place of reckoning, because what we are witnessing now with the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan, and her father, Thomas Markle, is not just a family falling apart. It is a tragedy manipulated in full view, fed by cameras and by headlines and by people who wanted to make a buck off of it. And yes, it must be spoken about, not to vilify, but to understand, to put this story in its proper light through the lens of psychology, history, and emotional survival. Because when a parent, no matter how beloved they were once, begin to harm rather than protect, to betray rather than nurture, and to profit from your pain rather than guard your peace, then yes, the only thing left to do is walk away. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. And it is with that clarity, tempered by discomfort and grounded in responsibility, that I now offer the following thought, the following editorial. Welcome. This is Majesty Sussex Report, and I'm Antonio. Thank you so very much for spending your valuable time here with me.
He gave you his name, but not his shelter. You reached with a heart full of hope. He met it with headlines and silence and sellouts. Turned from a father to ghost. He smiled on your childhood and sold off your future. Truth traded cheap for applause. And every word he whispered in private became someone else's cause. But blood alone don't make a man your home. And ties that choke aren't ties you have to hold. You walked away.
Thomas Markle's descent from doting father to public betrayal is a story as tragic as it is outrageous. In the lead up to Meghan's 2018 royal wedding, he schemed with paparazzi to stage flattering photos of himself, an act he initially lied to his daughter about. Meghan later revealed that she and Harry had directly asked him if he was working with the tabloids. He denied it, only for the truth to come out in humiliating fashion. Days after Meghan's 2021 Oprah interview, Thomas finally admitted on TV that he had cooperated with tabloid photographers to orchestrate those pre-wedding pictures, claiming he wished he hadn't done the whole thing. That betrayal cut deep. Imagine learning that your own father was actively undermining you on the world stage, feeding the very press, the very machine, primed to tear you down. This was not a one off mistake or a moment of poor judgment. It was the opening salvo in a pattern of public betrayals. Thomas Markle didn't stop at stage paparazzi pictures. He sold his story, giving one paid interview after another to outlets hostile to Meghan. He even handed over a private letter Meghan wrote, pleading for peace. He handed it over straight to the Daily Mail, who gleefully splashed its content in print. A court later ruled this a gross invasion of privacy, affirming Meghan's right to confidentiality. In essence, Thomas made a tabloid spectacle of his daughter's pain. He became a willing collaborator with the very forces that sought to harm her, to vilify her, to harm her reputation. From appearances on morning TV shows to bash her, to sharing personal communications, to teaming up with known Meghan haters, he repeatedly chose publicity and profit over his daughter's trust. Each interview sold, each letter leaked, each photo staged was a knife in the back of the daughter who had once lovingly called him daddy. It's a betrayal so profound that estrangement became not only understandable, but necessary. From the moment Meghan earned global attention, the British tabloids saw Thomas Markle as a useful weapon, and he played right into their hands. UK outlets transformed him into a pawn of narrative, deploying Thomas whenever they wanted to wound Meghan from afar. He was no longer simply a father. He became a reliable talking head for anti Meghan propaganda, his image and words commodified to fuel the outrage cycle. This weaponization hit new grotesque heights in recent days when Thomas suffered a serious health crisis, hospitalized, and ultimately undergoing a leg amputation. The press did not hesitate to exploit the moment. British tabloids splash exclusive hospital photos and emotional headlines featuring Meghan's ailing father, effectively turning his medical crisis into a public plea aimed at shaming his daughter. In a stage world exclusive, a popular tabloid published images of this older man in a hospital bed, accompanied by the very reporter who's been managing his story. The headlines scream with manufactured heartbreak. See me one more time before I die. Casting Meghan as a cruel daughter, ignoring a dying father. It was a calculated spectacle. An ailing parent turned into clickbait. His personal pain used to vilify the one person who wasn't there because she had been cut out of the loop on purpose. So, how did we get here? It turns out one Carolyn Graham, a Daily Mail reporter and self described close friend of Thomas, at one point she said she feels like his daughter. Really, Caroline? Is that it? His daughter? Has been embedded in his life for years. This is not normal. It's not normal at all. This is a journalist representing the Daily Mail. To me, this sounds and looks more like grooming. Graham moved to Mexico to be near Thomas and reportedly even lives with him now in the Philippines. She has essentially acted as Thomas' handler, gatekeeper, and ghostwriter, keeping him on script for the tabloid narrative. In fact, Thomas' latest health emergency first reached the tabloids through Graham. He texted her about his impending surgery before even informing his other children. She then flew across the world to be by his bedside, ensuring the Daily Mail, or some of us like to call them the Daily Fail, got exclusive photos and interviews, which they promptly weaponized to pressure Meghan. Guards keep other cameras out while Graham photographs snap pictures of Thomas looking frail, attached to hospital tubes, ready for the front page. It's a sick, sick cycle. I'll never understand how the British media, tabloid or not, commentators who choose to put their heads in the sand are okay with all of this. What are we, the rest of the world, missing? Or perhaps, what are they missing? The press creates a crisis, then milks it. As observers noted, the Mail's coverage was timed to coincide with Meghan's own professional milestone, a new show release, hijacking the news cycle to put her back in the shadow of bad, bad daughter. They crafted a melodrama implying Meghan was cruelly ignoring her father's plea or plight. When, in reality, Meghan's team did attempt a private contact, only to find Thomas had changed his number and email without telling her, funneling all communication through tabloids instead, allegedly. The entire saga was engineered to leave Meghan damned if she does and damned if she doesn't. If she breaks her silence, it becomes tabloid fodder. If she maintains distance, she's painted as heartless. This is how the UK media weaponizes Thomas Markle. They have turned this 81-year-old man's grievances and health trouble into artillery, firing, aiming at Meghan's character, time and time again. And Thomas, whether out of resentment, desperation for attention, or something darker, has allowed himself to be used as the tip of the sword on his daughter. One chilling truth emerges. Meghan didn't just lose a father organically. The tabloids actively helped estrange him, then capitalize on that estrangement. Thomas' relationship with his daughter has become a reality show produced by gutter print press. And he's given them the green light every step of the way. As one analyst succinctly put it, Meghan didn't simply cut off her dad. She lost him to a media ecosystem that rewarded his corporation. Thomas chose tabloid clout over family, over his youngest daughter. And the tabloids, happy to choose him to be that weapon, eager to destroy his daughter, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
He gave you his name, but not a shelter. You reach with a heart full of hope. He met it with headlines and silence and sellouts, and turned from a father to ghost. He smiled on your childhood, then sold off your future. Truth traded cheap for applause, and every word he whispered in private became someone else's cause. But blood alone don't make a man your home, and ties that show aren't ties you have to hold. You walked away to keep your soul your own. No guilt in choosing peace when love has turned to stone. blood alone don't make a man your home. And grief that hunts ain't love, it's just control. You drew a line, and that line saved your soul. There's no betrayal in reclaiming what they stole. Blood alone don't build a home. They said you'd regret it, that you'd feel the shame, but you only regret how long you stayed in the flame. He didn't raise you, he raised the blade. And every time you forgave him, he gave it a name. Blood alone ain't what you owe. Love must live in truth to grow. And when it doesn't, let it go. You did not betray, you just came home. Don't build a home.
Given this background of betrayal and media meddling, Meghan Sussex's decision to sever contact with her father is not only rational, it's an act of self preservation. Far from the cold hearted caricature the press paints, Meghan's stance is one rooted in hard earned wisdom. When a parent repeatedly weaponizes your relationship for their own agenda, you have the right to protect yourself. No child, not even a duchess, owes unlimited access to a parent who turns around and sells that access to the highest bidder. In the words of one commentator, no child owes access to a parent who repeatedly weaponizes that access for public consumption. Meghan's boundary is a consequence of Thomas's actions, not a cruel impulse. It's supported by every principle of healthy psychology and personal ethics. Research on family estrangement shows that adult children typically cut off parents as a last resort after years of boundary violations, abuse, or turmoil, not on a whim. It's rarely a decision made lightly. In Meghan's case, we can tick many of the classic boxes: breach of trust, public humiliation, emotional manipulation, even a form of emotional abuse by continual gaslighting and shaming through the press. Trauma experts affirm that for many survivors of toxic family dynamics, estrangement is a necessary step for safety and healing. Keeping ties with someone who continuously hurts or endangers you, directly or indirectly, isn't virtue, it's self harm. Meghan choosing to go no contact with her father was not only reasonable, it was arguable the most loving thing she could do for herself and her children. She broke the cycle. She refused to be the collateral damage in Thomas's tabloid crusade. Importantly, cutting off a toxic parent can be an ethical choice as well. Ethics and therapists note that enabling an abuser, even if that abuser is your parent, only perpetuates harm. By contrast, setting a firm boundary can be a statement that the behavior is unacceptable. Meghan gave her father chances to come clean and be honest, as evidenced by her attempts to communicate before the wedding and even after. He squandered those chances, continuing to engage with someone who lies to you and sells your private moments would not be noble. It would be naive. Meghan instead chose the path of dignity. She safeguarded her own mental health and that of her immediate family. In doing so, she also sent a message. Love is not license to abuse. Being a blood relative is not a free pass to disrespect and betray without consequences. Her boundaries is not cruelty. It is self respect, and it has likely saved her untold further headaches.
This story is going to come out tomorrow saying that your father's been staging pictures and taking money from the press and other kind of pictures. And I remember Jason said, you just need to call him and find out if this is true or not, because it can be really damaging. H and I called my dad. I said, look, they're saying you're taking money from the tabloids to stage photos. Is this true? He goes, no. And on that call, I said to him, look, if they can't stop it, then it's going to come out tomorrow. So why don't we send someone right now to your house to get you out of there now? Because if that's the case, your house will be swarmed by media. Get you out of there now. I said, we'll just come and get you a day early. Let's get you out of Mexico. And he said, no, I have things I need to do. And it felt really cagey. I was like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And when we hung up, I looked at H. I was like, I don't know why, but I don't believe him. The buzz this morning centers around Meghan Markle's father.
Mr. Markle allegedly staged photos of himself for the paparazzi, selling them for a reported $100,000.
This is tabloid fodder. They're going crazy with this story this morning.
Everyone was so frantic with preparing for the wedding itself. And then all of a sudden, just exploded.
I was absolutely stunned that Tom would become part of this circus.
As the photo scandal swirls around,
I feel sad that the media would run with this.
do you have any reaction to your ex-husband apparently staging photos for the paparazzi?
That he would capitalize. Certainly as a parent, no, that's not what you do.
The unraveling happened that week when he wouldn't pick up my call. And instead you're talking to TMZ.
We just broke a big, fat story on our website. Meghan Markle was supposed to be walked down the aisle by her father, and we found out from her father, not only will he not do that, he's not going to attend the wedding at all.
And I'm finding out that you're not coming to our wedding through a tabloid. The world is watching this drama play out.
Everybody. Free Thomas Markle. Free Thomas Markle. Tommy Markle, baby.
For this attention, the ones that were studying the media just kept calling. I need to know what's going on. I don't understand what's going on. Are you okay? What hospital are you at? I mean, all of us. I'm just trying to understand what was going on. Someone texted back on his phone. It was really weird. You know how people text, right? Like, my dad used a lot of emojis and a lot of like ellipsis and ... And this was just the opposite. And it called me Meghan. I was like, he's never called me Meghan in any day that I've lived on this planet. Meg. All my friends call me Meg, and my parents call me Meg. And I was like, that's not my dad. So then we knew that his phone had been compromised. And we said, pick up the phone. We need to know it's you. Never spoke to him. This story.
Whenever stories like this hit the news, a chorus of societal voices pipe up. But he's your father. You should forgive and forget. Hey, family comes first. It's a stubborn myth born of a cultural script that family bonds are sacred no matter what. We hear platitudes like blood is thicker than water and assume that real families always reconcile at the end. Let's confront that myth head on. Not all parents are good parents. Not all of them are benevolent people. Not all family conflicts can be resolved with a hug and an apology, especially when one side refuses to even acknowledge wrongdoing. There is a cultural belief that family is always safe and that maintaining contact with parents is inherently virtuous. Society is quick to scrutinize the adult child who walks away rather than the parent whose behavior made that boundary necessary. People ask, why would you cut your father off? Your own father, your own mother? When the real question should be, what did the father or the mother do to push this child away? In Megan's case, the answers are painfully clear. We must dismantle the expectation that adult children owe their parents forgiveness, regardless of the abuse or betrayal suffered. Forgiveness is not a mandate, it's a personal journey. And it certainly is an ode to someone who keeps inflicting harm. Psychological experts warn against the reflective forgive because they're family, noting that it often serves to silence survivors and excuse toxic behavior. In fact, framing Megan's estrangement as somehow immoral gets it exactly backwards. As one trauma specialist noted, family estrangement is often a protective response when all other attempts to set boundaries or seek change have failed. It is, for many, an act of survival. It's survival, not malice. Megan's choice to protect herself and her kids from a toxic situation is an act of love, love for her own life, her sanity, and future generations. It's worth noting that reconciliation is not always safe or possible. Thomas' behavior has not fundamentally changed. If anything, he has worsened with time, egged by the attraction and the attention he gets from the media. To demand that Meghan forgive and reopen the door would be to demand she expose herself and her young children to more of the same exploitation. That is not healing. That's self sabotage. We must uproot the simplistic notion that all families fight and then forgive each other. Some wounds run deeper than apologies can actually reach. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to just let go. Just let go. Megan's story is a high profile example, but it echoes countless others. There is no virtue in enabling abuse just because the abuser shares your DNA. As a society, we need to stop guilt tripping estranged children and start asking what sins of the parents or the guardians made estrangement the only healthy choice. Meghan's experience with her father carries an uncomfortable historical resonance, especially for people of color. She is a biracial black woman whose white father has chosen, in effect, to profit from her pain and aligned with institutions that uphold a racist status quo. Sadly, there is nothing new under the sun here. History is rife with examples of white fathers who exploited or abandoned their mixed race children for profit or proximity to whiteness. During the centuries of American slavery, countless enslaved black children were the offspring of white masters who never acknowledged them as family. In fact, the vast majority of white enslavers who fathered mixed race children kept those children in bondage to be sold and worked for profit like any other slaves. Their own flesh and blood was just another asset. Only a minuscule few did the right thing by their children of color. Some of these men even encouraged their lighter skinned offspring to pass as white and just disappear, go away, valuing the illusion of whiteness over a relationship with their own child. That is the cruel legacy of white patriarchy. The preference for status, for money, and racial comfort over basic parental care. Thomas Markle, his actions, of course, exist in a very different context. Meghan is not a child in chains, and he is not a slave owner. Yet, the parallel is there. It's haunting because you can see it. He is a white father who has effectively sold out his daughter, a black woman, to tabloids that frequently traffic in racist tropes about her. He has aligned himself with a British media apparatus that notoriously abused Meghan and continue to do so with colonial and racial undertones from the start, from the very beginning. In doing so, Thomas sought proximity to the power and prestige of the British royal orbit, a fundamentally white establishment, at the expense of his biracial daughter. It's as if, consciously or not, he chose the approval of the British Empire via the tabloids and royal commentators and reporters over the love of his own child. That evokes the same old story of white fathers prioritizing their standing in a white dominated society over the well being of their children of color. Meghan endurance in the face of this betrayal carries the weight of history. She is far from the first mixed race daughter to be mistreated by a white father, chasing status. But she has refused to be a victim of that history. By cutting him off, she breaks the cycle of exploitation that too many before her have suffered silently. Meghan's stance is a reminder that the sins of the past need not repeat into the future. Not if one is brave enough to say no more. No more.
And I said last night with Thomas Markle, he got himself into this situation with his daughter because he went and rigged some paparazzi shots for the Mail on Sunday ahead of the wedding. Remember the pictures, him getting sort of measured up for a suit and so on. You know, they were fixed. He organised those. I think he got some money for them because perhaps he was skint. But he's done it. He's done it again, Grant, with this situation in the hospital bed. Poor bloke. I've sent my best wishes to him for having his foot amputated. You know, what a nightmare. But the first thing he does is invites Caroline Graham from the Mail to his bedside for quotes and videos. And I just think, look, I'm not a big Meghan fan, but I just think, come on, Thomas Markle, have you not learned your lesson from last time?
I agree with you, Ben. I totally agree with you. I think that it's not wise what he's doing, because if you are genuinely wanting to fix this relationship with his daughter and he wants to show her that, you know, he's learned from the mistakes of the past, why would you then have a journalist come back in to see what he's up to, see what's happening, to report on it? Obviously there'll be money being exchanged for this as well. So again, it's kind of doing what he did before, and that's what's difficult for Meghan, because obviously she wants to reach out and contact him, but then she's also aware that when she does contact him, that those conversations could then be relayed, or will be relayed, to the journalist, and then we'll all get to read about it, which is really difficult when this is at the end of the day, this is
On behalf of His Royal Highness, King Little Tony I, we would like to say thank you to the following benefactors: Callie Jen, Black Pearl, Connie Bomber, Tiger Mommy, Lydia Washington. To each of you, thank you. You keep the lights on, yes, but more than that, you keep the mission alive. And if you have donated to the channel in the last 2 weeks or so, or 3 weeks, and I have not mentioned your name or handle, please do remind me in the comment section. So next time around, we will say thank you as one of our benefactors. And if you're watching and feel called to support this work, I say thank you. And of course, no obligation, just whenever or if you can. You can also do so through Buy Me a Coffee, and the link will be in the comment section. Also through Bandcamp, which most of our original music is there. You can go there and listen to the music as much as you can. If you decide to purchase one of them, you can just download a digital copy. And there's a special code of 50% off on all of the music. The code is there, just use it, and you get 50% off the price of the digital copy of the song. I want to say a big thank you to all of you who watch the commercials or the adverts. Thank you so much. That also helps the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To all of our subscribers, thank you very much. By showing up, by watching, by liking, by commenting, by sharing, all of that matters. By watching at least for half the time that the episode is on, that is great also. Thank you so very much. And a very special thanks to our royal court, our members. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And by the way, you can become a member for as low as $2 a month. Thank you very much. Now back to our episode. And welcome back. One of the most telling aspects of Thomas Markle's behavior is his almost theatrical obsession with Meghan's two children, Prince Archie and Princess Elizabeth, children he has never even met. He frequently laments in interviews that Meghan is denying him his grandchildren, painting himself as a pitiful old man longing for family. But is that really the truth? Let's scrutinize that a little bit. Thomas Markle has 5 other grandchildren from his older children, Thomas Jr. and Samantha. And those two are a gem, let me tell you. 5 fully human grandchildren who are not in the line of succession, not HRH, not living in a mansion. By all accounts, he's never shown much interest in those grandchildren, some of whom he's barely, if ever, had a relationship with. Meghan's half-sister Samantha has 3 children, one of whom, Ashley, actually has a warm relationship with Meghan. And Meghan's half brother, Thomas Jr., who thinks he's a comedian, has 2 sons. Did Thomas Sr. make a fuss about being kept from those kids? Did he travel the globe or go on TV pleading to see them? Oh, of course not. In fact, those grandchildren grew up largely outside of Thomas' orbit. The painful truth is that Thomas' grandfatherly fixation on Archie and Lily seems to be less about genuine family connection or a grandfather's love and more about their symbolic value. They are royals, biracial, and world famous, a lucrative subject for media attention. By harping on Archie and Lilibeth, Thomas is able to keep himself in the headlines and thus, perhaps, on the tabloid payroll, allegedly. It's performative, not paternal. If this man truly cared about being grandpa, he would have nurtured bonds with all his grandchildren, regardless of their title or media appeal. Instead, he ignores the ones out of the spotlight while claiming he's being robbed of the 2 who happen to have prince and princess titles. The performative nature of his concern was on full display during his hospital media blitz. Even as he lay recovering from major surgery, he gave quotes about how he just wanted Meghan to allow him to see the babies before he dies. All delivered via tabloid exclusives. It's hard to escape the conclusion that Thomas's ultimate interest in Archie and Lily is as props to varnish his own image or to hurt Meghan, rather than meeting these 2 beautiful souls to be cherished. Prince Harry himself, in his memoir, noted how this whole saga meant that Meghan and Harry's own children were being used as pawns in a bitter game not of their making. Meghan's boundaries protects Archie and Lilibeth as much as it protects her by keeping a manipulative grandfather at bay. She's shielding her kids from becoming characters in this tabloid, cruel fairy tale. After all, if Thomas would leak his daughter's letter, what's to stop him from leaking private moments or photos of her children if he had access? Meghan Sussex's story may be playing out on the public stage, but at its core is painfully familiar to anyone who's had to separate from a toxic parent. This is a story of survival, of choosing self worth over societal expectations. To every biracial son or daughter who watched a parent chase acceptance from a world that rejected them and felt like it was rejecting you. To every adult child who has been called ungrateful or cruel for stepping away from a parent who hurt you, Meghan's stance is a beacon of validation. Protecting yourself is not betrayal. Setting boundaries with an abusive or manipulative parent is an act of courage, not cruelty. As psychologist Brett Frank aptly observes, Estrangement is not some impulsive trend. Often, it's the culmination of long term harm, a protective response when all other attempts at communication, counseling, or reduced contact have failed. For many, it is an act of survival. Let that sink in. An act of survival. Surviving sometimes means cutting ties with those who continuously cut you down. Yes, our culture programs us to feel guilty for abandoning family. But the real question is, why should anyone be obligated to tolerate abuse simply because of blood relation? Meghan's choice was not made in a vacuum. It was made in the context of a father who abandoned his role as protector and instead became a source of harm. In that context, walking away isn't spite, it's self defense. Fierce dignity sometimes looks like a daughter saying, enough, enough. Cultural clarity is recognizing that just because something is tradition or traditional, honor thy father, honor thy mother, doesn't mean it's universally right. Not when that father has dishonored his child. And unf- unflinching moral truth is telling the world that a parent's love is supposed to be unconditional. But a child's well being cannot be conditional on enduring a parent's abuse. It cannot. And I've got an update here for us, some excellent reporting from Feminegra. According to their investigation, the Daily Mail once again manufactured an emotional storm out of Thomas Markle's health crisis. It was revealed that Caroline Graham, the same tabloid journalist who has inserted herself into every major rupture in Meghan's life since 2018, was physically present in Thomas' hospital room in Cebu, Philippines, filming, photographing, and packaging the moment into a narrative aimed at guilting Meghan. But what Thomas did next was even more revealing. He told Caroline Graham about his amputation before telling his own children. That's not fatherly instincts, that's tabloid dependency. This one act summarizes the dysfunction. At every stage, the wedding, the letter, stroke, hospitalization, he has turned to the press before turning to his own family. The Feminegra article paints a consistent pattern of behavior, not a fluke. Graham is not an observer, she is his chosen messenger, his handler, even. What wasn't reported in the tabloid headlines was this: Meghan did reach out through protected diplomatic channels, confirmed by the US consulate and multiple international outlets. She did not call directly because history has shown that any private contact ends up on the front page. Her letter was published, her phone calls have been misquoted. So this time, she used a secure, documented process, a wise decision by a woman who has learned what it means to protect her peace. The presence of US officials in the hospital at Meghan's request was not a PR stunt. It was protocol. It was brilliant. It was a daughter acting responsibly, in a situation where direct trust had long since eroded. This is not cruelty. That is prudence. That is care executed with boundaries. And yet, even in the face of that, the media headlines continue to twist the truth. It's worth noting this same father has other grandchildren he hasn't seen in decades. Decades. His son and daughter, Meghan's half siblings, have no real relationship with their own children. So the pattern is clear. The dysfunction is generational. And through it all, the only person in this entire family who has shown restraint, grace, and consistency is Meghan, the daughter who was betrayed and still chose diplomacy. Thank God for Doria. Thank God for Doria. Because out of a deeply fractured Caucasian white American family dynamic, Meghan, African American mother, provided the love, the safety, the wisdom, and raised a woman who has become a symbol of how to stand tall in the face of generational trauma. In the face of generational trauma. And those people on that island, I don't know where they get their journalism degree from. I do not know, because this is not normal. When a so called journalist, she's not just embedded in the story, she is the story. That is not normal. Why aren't any ethics or I mean, there's so much wrong with this that I can't even begin. You know, and as we all know, they all wanted, right? They were all set because they thought, oh, it's going to be a good time because the African American family. Oh, you just wait and see. We're going to have a good time with that. And guess what? Shocker, shocker. That is why they invented the whole thing. Oh, she was embarrassed about her family. That's why she didn't invite any of them. She was embarrassed because they couldn't get what they wanted. Couldn't get what they wanted out of the black side of the family. But oh boy, the trailer, pull up the trailer and let's go. Because the Caucasian white side, oh, they were ready, willing, and just in full force. Full force. It is astonishing to watch the three of them, the father, the daughter, and the, oh gosh, I was going to say something, and the son, sit there, give interviews, monetize the suffering, the pain of Meghan. Oh, what kind of class. And then you have these moronic idiots trying to say and talk all this nonsense about Doria. To slap these racist, stereotypical tropes. I mean, where is where is the Malone woman? Where is she? Where's Carol Malone? Was she laying low for a while? I mean, how dare she? How dare any of them? But over and over, they, oh, oh, it's her father. She should be calling him. What? These people have their heads up each other's, the planets. That planet is called Uranus. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Because they it's either that, or they have short-term memory, or they truly, truly, truly are just a bunch of moronic idiots that somehow manage to convince the rest of the world that they've got some kind of intellect. Because it's amazing to watch these people on newscasters, and they're like, "Oh yes, you should," and I'm like, did all of you just forget all the things that the brother did, the half brother, the half sister, and the father? Where did that go? Did that all just vanish? Yeah, so paint the black mother a certain way, and let's just ask for pardon for the poor fragile white part of her family. I mean, it's unbelievable this in 2025. This is happening. I was watching this guy on TikTok. He's from the UK, and he was saying, he goes, the misinformation.
Right, you might have heard this claim being made by politicians and in the media. If you haven't, have a listen.
It's generally accepted that a working couple with 3 children would have to earn a minimum of £71,000 to be at the same level of income as parents just like them with 3 children who are on benefits. That the benefits are worth that much to a couple with 3 children. And if you're a working couple, you have to earn 71 grand to draw level with them.
Okay, that's a pretty shocking claim to make, but the thing about some claims is that they're false, and in this case, that claim is a lie. How do we know this? Well, in the UK, we have something called the benefits cap, which for a family in London is £25,000 for the year. Elsewhere, for a family in the UK, is 22 grand for a year. For a single adult in London, it's basically £17,000, and for anywhere else in the UK for a single adult, it's basically 15 grand for the year. No one is claiming £71,000 a year in welfare. It is impossible, because once you hit your cap, amounts will start getting deducted from your payments. The only way that you could try and earn £71,000 a year in welfare is by stacking loads of claims together that no household could ever claim all at the same time. Yet we have politicians and media pundits repeating this lie verbatim. It's disgusting. People should never underestimate the absolute blinder that has been played by the establishment with the constant scapegoating and portrayal of disabled people in media as being lazy and idle, because it allows false claims like this to be spread with seemingly no thought to the people that it's going to impact, and that should concern each and every one of you. And if it doesn't, fine, but I hope for your sake that you never find yourself disabled, because if you do, you will be subjected to this. See how you like it then. Right.
It is nothing short than diabolical. Diabolical, these people. Because they know what they're doing. They're sowing the seeds of discord. They go after LGBTQ plus people. They go after disabled people. They go after black people. They go after brown people. These are the same people who are like, Brexit, yes, it's going to be good for the nation, good for the Brexit. How could you still follow them? How could you still listen to these people? And they have this favorite institute that they use usually. I forgot the name. So the Institute of blah 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 said that migrants get blah 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 blah, and minorities get blah 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 blah, and the United Kingdom has no more white kids. It's all different blah 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 blah. Look, and guess what the institute is? It's one guy who no one knows where he gets his information from. He basically is the institute. But they pretend like there's this big institution doing research that has all this data. He doesn't even show that it's one guy, one right wing conservative, like these far right people. Like, folks, please don't believe what you hear on television, on news. It's like verify. I know it's an extra step, but verify the information you get. Verify it. Because I'll tell you, some of that stuff is so convincing because they keep hammering it home to you, hammering it home. And that is why you have all these people so peed off. And the thing is that it's so easily. So you can find the information so easy. And these people sit there and they argue about the migrants and these people getting all this money and blah, blah, blah. And it's all a lie. It's all lies, lies upon lies upon lies. It's pathetic. Pathetic. You know? Absolutely. I'm just, Doria. She provided Meghan with love, with safety, with wisdom. Oh boy. I'm telling you. So we come to the end. We come to the end. Not with pity, not with rage, but with truth. It's the truth. It's laid out. Thomas Markle did not just break his relationship with Meghan. He outsourced it, sold it, broadcast it, and handed it to people who profit from her pain. From her pain. And still she protected him. God's a classy woman with dignity. Not through words, but through boundaries. Let that be the last word. Boundaries are not cruelty. Sometimes they are the most compassionate thing left to do. Honestly. Well, my beautiful people, this is it. This is it. All my research, all the stuff, this is it. This is what I've got for you. I hope it was of value. I hope, hopefully, you've clarified things if you were needing some answers, or you've learned something, or again, at least you're entertained. Anyways, I leave it there. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. I love you folks so much. I do read all the messages. I know I haven't answered back in like a while, but I read all of them, and I might just have to do like an episode where I just read comments and respond back. I think that might be a good thing to do. So keep the comments coming. And boy, have I lately gotten like some really doozies of people. Doozy. I mean, these people are really lost a couple of marbles. Some of the things they've written in the comment section. I mean, thank goodness we have we have high security that takes care of it. Anyways, thank you so much once again. I love you folks. Be kind to yourself, okay? Stay warm. Don't let anyone's anger or anyone's anything hook you into their nonsense, okay? Keep your peace. Keep your peace. Until we speak again. And thank you for the privilege of being here with you folks. Love you all. Bye for now. Mwah.
He gave you his name, but not his shelter. You reach with a heart full of hope. He met it with headlines and silence and sellouts, and turned from a father to ghost. He smiled on your childhood, then sold off your future. True traded cheap for applause, and every word he whispered in private became someone else's cause. But blood alone don't make a man your home, and ties that choke aren't ties you have to hold. You walked away to keep your soul your own. No guilt in choosing peace when love is turned to stone. Blood alone don't build a home. He begged for compassion, then sold your letter. He said he loved you, then proved it false. Use your name like currency for strangers, but couldn't make a single call. You asked him for silence, he answered with headlines. You asked him for truth, he lied. You offered protection, he chose a paycheck and still wants to stand by your side. But blood alone don't make a man your home. And grief that hunts ain't love, it's just control. You drew a line, and that line saved your soul. There's no betrayal in reclaiming what they stole. Blood alone don't build a home. They said you'd regret it, that you'd feel the shame, but you only regret how long you stayed in the flame. He didn't raise you, he raised a blade, and every time you forgave him, he gave it a name.